Live from Ball State University. News for the campus community and all of Delaware County. This is NewsLink Indiana.
Good evening and welcome to NewsLink Indiana. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tony Sandlaben.
And I'm Olivia McClellan. Tonight we're going to Michael Behrens for weather updates. Michael?
Well, thanks, guys. We've got a bit of an active weather situation going on this evening. It's not quite here in Muncie yet, though. We are under a tornado watch until 1 o'clock tomorrow morning ahead of this line of storms, which is still back toward our southwest. It's been causing plenty of warnings along this line. This actually a severe thunderstorm warning in place right now, and you can see as I switch over to the storm relative velocities, this green, this is a large area of wind heading toward the radar, strong winds ahead of this system, and plenty of shear out there as well. The hail threat not really out there this evening as these storms, they're not too high, just under 30,000 feet for the main part of the storm. So the wind and the hail and the potential for a few isolated tornadoes are big threats. Breaking that down for you, heavy rains, frequent lightning, always a concern as we go into the overnight. Actually, a lot of rain to be accumulated over the next couple of days. The strong to severe winds definitely our biggest concern tonight. And again, we can't rule out that threat for an isolated tornado. I'll have the more detailed breakdown of this coming up for you in your full weather.
Federal health authorities are telling the nation's hospitals to think Ebola. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Director Tom Frieden is asking hospitals to watch for patients with fever or symptoms of Ebola who have traveled from the 3 Ebola-stricken African nations in the past 21 days. He spoke on the matter earlier today after a nurse in Dallas became the first person to catch the disease within the United States. She had treated a Liberian man who died at the hospital after bringing the disease from Liberia. The CDC is now monitoring all hospital workers who treated the Liberian man. Frieden says he wouldn't be surprised if another hospital worker who cared for that patient when he was very sick becomes ill. Ebola patients become more contagious as the disease progresses. Despite the threat, Dr. David Nabarro believes the U.S. will get it under control.
International community is coming in with an extraordinary and totally unprecedented response. Some countries like the United States and the United Kingdom are bringing in large numbers of people, both skilled doctors and nurses, but also people to help with logistics and emergency management. And they're also providing vast amounts of money. Other countries are coming up with similar big contributions. In some cases like Cuba, large numbers of doctors and nurses as well. It's with this very intensive support that I believe it will be possible to get ahead of the outbreak. And our estimate, this is the whole of the UN system, is that we should be able to bend the epidemic curve down and start to see the outbreak coming under control by the end of the year.
The Ball State University Board of Trustees has endorsed a plan to consolidate health science programs, clinics, and labs into a new college. Provost Terry King says the consolidation of health-related assets would improve collaboration, scholarship, quality, and public access to clinics and labs, especially for the underserved population. Health professions are currently scattered around the Muncie campus. Ball State operates more than a dozen clinics and labs in areas including audiology, autism, speech language, counseling, human performance, nutrition, gastrointestinal, and neuropsychology.
This week, the Division of Student Affairs and the University Prevention Team are presenting Alcohol Awareness Week 2014. This year's theme is #BSU Lifeline, with events raising awareness on different facets of high-risk alcohol consumption throughout the week. The goals of Alcohol Awareness Week are to promote low-risk alcohol consumption for those students who choose to consume alcohol, recognize and avoid high-risk circumstances, provide safe techniques for students to intervene in situations where others are at risk for harm, and raise awareness of Indiana's Lifeline law, Ball State's Good Neighbor policy, and other resources that support student safety and success. Events will take place on the BSU campus all week.
Ball State has canceled plans to spray herbicides on the Burris School's lawns while it looks at alternatives to control the spread of weeds. University President Paul Ferguson canceled the spraying at Burris after receiving a petition signed by parents, alumni, and others complaining the spraying would expose children to chemical toxins. Former President Joanne Gora also canceled spraying a year ago after receiving a similar petition. Ball State spokeswoman Joan Todd says a university task force will explore options to control weeds at the school.
Financial experts are saying Muncie schools risk losing federal money because of weak financial reporting and spending controls. A recent state audit found that some students were overcharged for textbook rentals. The audit found several other discrepancies, including one in per pupil spending of Title I funds between the 5 schools with the lowest poverty rates and the 5 with the highest rates. The audit reports found material weaknesses in internal controls, which puts the school corporation at high risk of being audited. Superintendent Tim Heller acknowledged that internal controls over financial reporting and federal spending were a little loose. He said there was no excuse for wrongdoing.
And later on tonight, we'll have highlights from this past Saturday's homecoming game. Stay tuned to find out if the Ball State football team was able to halt a 4-game losing skid. And the Ebola scare in the United States continues.
Find out what one doctor has to say next.
Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked, thrown up against a wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.
This is NewsLink Indiana.
More than $500,000 worth of counterfeit merchandise was seized from an East Side Indianapolis flea market yesterday morning. Indiana State Excise police officers, assisted by Advanced Investigative Services, searched the Liberty Bell Carpet and Flea Market for more than 6 hours. They confiscated thousands of counterfeit items, including knockoffs of brands like Nike, Louis Vuitton, Michael Kors, Gucci, Prada, and Otterbox. Unlicensed copies of movies on DVD were also seized. 2 U-Haul trucks and a large trailer took the confiscated items away from the flea market. The case is still in the process of being investigated at this time. No arrests have been made.
Several months ago, Ball State students went to Ferguson to investigate the media's role in the protests. Numerous protests have been held in the 2 months since the August 9th killing of Michael Brown. Crowds gathered today in Ferguson, Missouri for a final day of demonstrations. The protests were dubbed a Ferguson October and Weekend of Resistance and took place in Ferguson and St. Louis. Participants are angry about the police shooting deaths of Michael Brown in Ferguson and Vonderit Myers in St. Louis. They are demanding the arrest of Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson, who shot and killed Brown. The grand jury began hearing evidence in the Wilson case on August 20th and have until January 7th to make a decision on charges.
ISIS continues to threaten the safety of many, including a former Indiana resident who is being held captive. International leaders are discussing ways to fight back. Secretary of State John Kerry arrived in Paris today for meetings with international leaders. Kerry will meet with French Foreign Minister Fabius, Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov, and other U.S. partners. He is working to build an international coalition to fight ISIS, the terrorist group responsible for violence in Syria and Iraq. ISIS fighters now control about 80% of Iraq's Anbar province. In Syria, fighting continues in the key Kurdish border city of Kobani, which ISIS has been trying to seize now for weeks.
A soldier gets a surprise, a boy has a memorable New York minute, and the sun gets in the Halloween spirit.
Take a look at this. Iraq War veteran Kelly Foster just got a huge surprise.
I had no idea this was going to happen. I'm speechless.
The classic Mustang he bought after his first tour in Iraq has been completely restored, paid for by strangers.
We got some friends of ours together, about 35 of us, and everyone pitched in. And we wanted to pay you back for putting your life on the line for us.
The group paid for most of the nearly $20,000 in restorations. And take a look at this heartwarming New York minute. Some of New York's finest were caught on camera by a Brazilian tourist giving a memorable gift to a special needs boy and making a new friend in the process. And if you need something to get you in the holiday spirit, take a look at this picture of the so-called pumpkin sun. NASA explains the sun's active regions, places where more light and energy are present, give the sun the appearance of a jack-o'-lantern. This is a blend of several photographs taken at different light wavelengths and just in time for Halloween. For Take a Look at This, I'm Martha Shade.
Governor Mike Pence, First Lady Karen Pence, and their staff are selling pumpkins to benefit a food bank. The governor's pumpkin patch will be held on the south lawn of the State House in Indianapolis tomorrow from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. The proceeds go to the Midwest Food Bank, a faith-based nonprofit serving more than 700 organizations across the Midwest and South. The pumpkins will be provided by Tragister Farms in Hamilton County at no charge to the state. Last year, the governor's Great Pumpkin Patch raised more than $1,200 for the Midwest Food Bank.
It's time for NewsLink's quick question of the day. Kayla?
With what seemed like a perfect fall day, we went around asking people what their favorite part about fall was. Here's what they had to say.
I guess my favorite thing about fall would be the weather getting cooler and watching football and bonfires with friends.
My favorite part about fall is boot weather and the leaves changing colors.
The best thing I like about fall is being able to walk around campus and see all the leaves changing, and it's really pretty. I also like going to the apple orchard with my family and picking apples because those are always really tasty.
My favorite part about fall is going to the pumpkin patch and carving pumpkins with my friends.
And that's your quick question for the evening. In Muncie, Kayla Harpold, NewsLink, Indiana.
Thanks, Kayla. And today we had a bit of fall and summer weather. Cool rain this morning followed by a hot, sunny day. What will the weather do next?
We'll let you know what to expect after the break.
The next 30 seconds can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto-sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
This is NewsLink Indiana.
Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. And Olivia, the weather today was pretty interesting. Started out this morning kind of gloomy, rainy, and cold, and then really turned into a beautiful day.
Yeah, this morning I needed my rain boots, but by the end of the day I was wanting to swap them out for my flip-flops. So now to Chief Meteorologist Michael Behrens with our weather.
Well, guys, we have a little bit of a time lapse here for you. It really captures all of those moods you were talking about at the beginning. So I let this play out for you. You see that rain shower initially earlier in the day, but the sun comes out after that. Everything dries up. The clouds started to build back in later this afternoon. However, that sunshine is sort of what's helped lead us to this sort of destabilized atmosphere, that severe threat we have for you. 73, our temperature right now, actually still warmer than one of the initial highs going into the day. That clearing really helped destabilize the air, which is why that severe threat got pulled further north. 61 degrees the dew point, so definitely sticky, definitely a lot of moisture out there for these storms to work with. The wind's already getting a little gusty in Indianapolis, southeast at 21, southeast at 14 in Shelbyville, southeast at 13 here in Muncie. Taking a look at our radar picture, we are again under that tornado watch until 1 o'clock this morning, and that will go into the early hours of Tuesday for this line of storms that's moving through most of Indiana right now. It's been causing warnings across the southern part of the state. It's really been continuing to do this consistently. Not tornado warnings anymore, however, the thunderstorm warnings. The biggest reason for that being the wind. The tornado watch remains in place because of this. This is wind shear being picked up by our NewsLink Indiana Precision Cast product. And as we expand it back toward the past 2 hours, it's been consistently picking up this wind shear, which is why we stay under that tornado watch. Now, what wind shear actually is, this is a bit of an extreme example, but when wind goes at one direction at the surface and turns and goes another way in the atmosphere, you get this sort of rotation, and that can lead us to that potential for those pop-up tornadoes, those quick, really short-lived tornadoes across the state this evening. The severe threat, the slight risk still in place across most of central Indiana. Here's the tornado threat. A slight chance of tornadoes tonight, not our main threat being the winds. You can see a little bit of that darker purple color where the wind threat is here in Muncie, Indianapolis, Bloomington. We're all dealing with that threat for some strong winds this evening, strong to severe winds. Now, NewsLink Precision Cast by 2 o'clock. We're still seeing the rain and the storms here in Muncie, continuing on through the afternoon hour, the evening hours, the early morning hours into tomorrow by 9 o'clock. The rain and the storms still around the state, and still some scattered rain showers around as we go into Wednesday. The cloud cover moves back in. This rainy pattern stays with us. It's because of this low pressure. It's going to continue to pull that rainfall and that moisture back around, back into Indiana, and the rain and the moisture really sticks around through Thursday before we finally get a little bit of a clearing pattern to move in here as we go into the weekend. For tonight, rain and storms, some strong at times, 65 degrees our overnight low. The south-southwest winds at 10 to 20 plus. The storms continue into the early part of tomorrow with rain lingering around after that. 70 degrees our high, a south wind at 5 to 15 miles per hour. And our 7-day forecast here, here's that rainy pattern we were talking about through the better part of this week. And as we actually pull this panel out here, we'll show you how much rain we're expecting to get. As this goes through time, the next 2 days or so, we could see over an inch of rain here in Muncie, 1.38 inches, 1.82 across the southern part of the state, and maybe even as high as 2.5 plus for parts of the state near Terre Haute. Finishing out the rest of this 7-day forecast for you, 60 degrees our high Wednesday, really much cooler than we have been today. Thursday, the rainy conditions continue, clearing for Friday, warmer for a day. 66 degrees our high, but a quick cool down after that. 60 on Saturday, 59 on Sunday, and another shot of rain moves back in for next Monday.
All right, thank you, Michael.
All right, and coming up, the Ball State Cardinals played Western Michigan during homecoming weekend.
The final score and more next with NewsLink Sports.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know wherever you are.
This is NewsLink Indiana.
Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. I'm David Jones with your sports. Let's kick things off with Ball State football. Ball State's 88th annual homecoming game was nothing short of a thriller. Things were interesting from the start as all eyes were on redshirt freshman quarterback Jack Milas, who started his first collegiate game Saturday. And boy, was it a big one. Milas threw for 326 yards and 4 touchdowns, both of which are freshman records. Unfortunately, it was not enough to put an end to Ball State's 4-game losing streak, as Western Michigan was in control for most of the second half and came away with a 42-38 victory. Ball State drops to 1-5 on the year and 0-2 in MAC play. The Cardinals travel north next week to take on Central Michigan. Kickoff is set for 3:30. Also tonight, some postseason announcements for high school football and volleyball. Sectional pairings have been released for both sports, and local Delaware County schools now know who they will face in this postseason. In football, Muncie Central will be taking on New Palestine at home. Yorktown will travel to West Lafayette. Delta stays home to play Northwestern, and West Del is set to play Northeastern at home. Sectional play for all of IHSAA football begins October 24th. As for volleyball, Yorktown will open up against Pendleton Heights. Delta will take on Muncie Central. Wapahani starts against Hamilton Heights. Cowan will play Monroe Central. Delville will take on West Del, and Muncie Burris begins postseason play with a bye as they play the winner of Hagerstown versus Knightstown. IHSAA volleyball sectionals begin on October 21st. Ball State's women's field hockey team celebrated homecoming. Homecoming celebrated with 2 victories against Missouri State and Michigan State. Ball State shut out Missouri State 5-0 on Saturday with a tremendous effort from sophomore Lexi Kavanaugh, who led the team with 3 goals in that contest. The Cardinals would play host to Michigan State Spartans 24 hours later as they pulled off a 2-1 overtime victory. Kavanaugh would be a lifesaver in that one as she rallied for her 4th career game-winning goal with the help of Bethany Hahn. The Cardinals are currently 5-7 and 1-1 in MAC play as they return to action Friday to take on Longwood in Farmville, Virginia. Moving from the gridiron to the hardwood, the Ball State women's volleyball team has more to celebrate today as middle hitter Haley Benson won the MAC West Offensive Player of the Week for the 3rd time this year. In the Cardinals' 2 victories against Buffalo and Toledo last week, Benson led the Ball State attack with 30 kills and posted a .569 hitting percentage. Against Buffalo, Benson recorded a season-high .609 hitting percentage and was second on the team with 14 kills and 5 blocks. This is the 5th time in her career that Benson has earned Player of the Week honors, with 4 of them being on offense. Benson and the rest of her Cardinals teammates return to action Friday when defending MAC champion Ohio visits Worthing Arena. That match is set to begin at 7 p.m.
All right, David, that's some pretty exciting stuff. Good to know Ball State got some offense going. Unfortunately, it was a loss on Friday in football, but maybe something to look forward to is maybe we've found our quarterback of the future.
You know, just maybe because he looked very good on Saturday, so I'm looking forward to it.
You did. Freshman records. Good stuff for sure. Meanwhile, a secret photo app may not be so secret anymore.
Details during NewsLink Entertainment after the break.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
This is NewsLink Indiana.
Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. I'm Lindsay Ross with the latest in entertainment news. Snap a pic, share, and it's gone. That's how the photo sharing app Snapchat built its business. The purported privacy lured teens to the app. About half of its users are between 13 and 17. Many shared naked pictures thinking the images would disappear, but other apps have found a way to store and save Snapchat pictures. Now, hackers claim to have stolen 100,000 private pictures and videos, and the hackers say they may publish those private images, which likely include child porn. Snapchat says its servers weren't tampered with, but that its users were victimized. A popular restaurant with many locations around Indiana has finally found its way to Muncie. A Firehouse sub franchise has been built and will be opening on Thursday. The restaurant serves over 10 different kinds of subs, ranging from turkey bacon ranch to Italian to hook and ladder. Firehouse Subs is not only known for their sandwiches, though. Since the opening of their first restaurant, it has given over $10.1 million to fire, police, and EMS departments. The restaurant is located near the mall on McGalliard Road. A popular star of the well-known TV show Duck Dynasty is now engaged. John Luke Robinson proposed over the weekend to his girlfriend Mary Kate McInerney. This was significant for Robinson in more than one way. He celebrated his 19th birthday. Robinson is taking after his parents, who got married at the age of 18. The newly engaged couple got engaged after dating for about 7 months. Duck Dynasty, which airs on A&E, will return for its 7th season on November 19th. That's all for tonight. For your entertainment news, back to the desk.
Thanks, Lindsay. And Michael, in a final look at weather?
Well, again, we are tracking that line of strong to severe storms making its way through Indiana. We remain under that tornado watch until 1 o'clock this morning. Severe thunderstorm warnings to our south. We'll keep a close eye on those as we go throughout the night and have any updates for you that you need on Twitter at NLI Weather. Again, we'll be tracking those storms. This rest of the 7-day looks a little wet as well as we go over toward that. We have the thunderstorm chances remaining throughout tomorrow morning. Rain chances after that as this low pressure system just continues to toss more and more precipitation back toward us. Rainy Wednesday and Thursday. A brief warm up on Friday when the sun returns, but you know, can't last. Saturday, 60 degrees, our high 59 by Sunday. So we really cool back down after that. More rain chances return next Monday.
All right. That's all for tonight for NewsLink Indiana. Be sure to watch tomorrow night at 9 right here on Cardinal Vision.
Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Have a great night.